We have seen cyber threats become an increasing problem. It seems like not a week goes by where there isn't news of some sort of a cyber attack, whether it be on a small business or potential threat against our election system. We just met with a group of utilities out in Washington, D.C. They look at this as a very significant issue. On top of that, you look at some of the challenges at the state level. So there was a survey of state executive agency leaders, and more than 90% of them identified cybersecurity as a significant problem. At the same time, only about a quarter of state CIOs say that they have the resources that they need to combat that problem. The consequence of that is a threat to our critical infrastructure, our utilities, potentially to our voting systems. And so we've got a bill that seeks to address that. It's focused on leveraging a model that's worked in the past, and that's using our National Guard. During the 90s, after the sarin gas attack in Japan, Congress and the Clinton administration worked on setting up something called civil support teams, where initially there were 10 of them. Now they're in all 50 states and the territories, where they would serve as an entity both to enhance resiliency and to respond if there was a threat. The bill that we've put forward would replicate that in the cyber domain, to say let's use the resources that the National Guard has on the ground in every state in the nation. Let's use their expertise. Let's use their existing relationships, because they're already involved in emergency management. They already have relationships with a lot of our critical infrastructure, with our local governments, with our state government, with our utilities. Let's leverage those capabilities and ensure that they're able to be both an entity that can build up our cyber defenses, but also to respond in case of a cyber attack.
And you argue that Washington State is well positioned given all of the big tech talent here.
You bet. I mean, our state National Guard is already at the forefront of this. It has cyber capabilities, and what we benefit from is that here in Washington State, a lot of the men and women who serve in the National Guard spend their day job at Microsoft and at Amazon and at some of the amazing technology companies we have here in our region. That's capability that can be put into play to protect critical infrastructure in every state in this country. And again, this is relevant because we know that there are potential threats to our voting systems. We've got another election coming up in November, and ensuring that we've got the resources on the ground to protect critical infrastructure, including our voting infrastructure, I think is very important.
So then the question becomes, could something pass before the midterms?
Yeah, it can and it should. This is a bill that thankfully is bipartisan. We've got more than a couple dozen sponsors from both sides of the aisle. We're already fielding calls from Senate offices, again, Democrat and Republican, with folks who are interested in this legislation. And I think the hope is that as Congress takes up a defense bill, which it does, at least in modern history, every single year, that this could be a provision that would be included in that defense bill.